And what is up everyone? In today's video we are looking at the best A-level subject. I mean, there's simply no competition when it comes to this one. So we're going to kick this one off with market structures, and I'm going to start off by covering perfect competition. Just before we get into that, if you are new here and if you are studying economics, then make sure to subscribe to the channel, guys, as I intend to release more content for this subject on a regular basis. So make sure to show your support by subscribing and also letting your friends know about it too, so that hopefully everyone can benefit from this. And well, the more students that do well in economics, it's better for the wider economy. So starting off today, we are going to be focusing on perfect competition. Let's start off by defining what a perfectly competitive market is. Firstly, I want you to understand that a perfectly competitive market is more of a theoretical concept, meaning that in reality, it's quite difficult to come across a market that is perfectly competitive. And you may be asking, if that's the case, then why do you need to know about it? And the answer to that is quite simple. You need to understand the dynamics of a perfectly competitive market so that you can then compare other market structures to that. Try and envision this like a benchmark, and other market structures can then be compared to this example, and then we can highlight and see exactly what the benefits and the associated spin-offs are from that. So in a perfectly competitive market, you will have the following characteristics: many buyers and sellers in the market, homogeneous products and services, perfect information, meaning that all buyers and sellers are informed of prices, costs, technology and substitutes, no barriers of entry and exit. The firm's motive is to profit maximize, and firms are price takers. So let's now try and explain this diagrammatically, as this will help to understand the concept a little bit better.
So when drawing the diagrams for perfect competition, the best way to be doing this is to use a side-by-side comparison of what is taking place in the market and then how that influences each firm. So here's the first one, which is pretty basic to start off with. We have the standard demand and supply curve and the equilibrium point at where demand and supply cross over, establishing the price at P1 and quantity at Q1 that is being supplied to the market. Again, very straightforward. Now, using this diagram, we can establish a few things for the firm which is operating within this market. Firstly, let's draw in the cost curves the firm has. We have the upward sloping marginal cost curve, which is basically telling us that each unit of additional output that is being produced is increasing cost, meaning that because the firm is not producing at economies of scale, its fixed and variable costs are going up with per unit of an additional output that is being produced. And then you have the U-shaped average cost curve, which the marginal cost curve will cut through at the lowest point. Again, if any of you would like a separate video on cost and revenue curves explained, then drop a request in the comment section down below and I'll be happy to get to that. But for the sake of this video, we won't get into that, as you just need to understand the nature of how the firm is operating within this perfectly competitive market. So average revenue curve will be the same as the marginal revenue curve, as well as the demand curve here. And this is because the revenue and additional cost per unit is directly uniform to each unit of output. And this also reflects that the demand is perfectly elastic. In other words, because there are so many close substitutes, if a firm decides to change prices, then consumers will turn to other firms as they have access to all that information. Hence why demand in this case is a horizontal line representing that it's perfectly elastic. So where MC intersects MR, which of course is the firm's profit maximizing point, we can see that this is the optimal quantity that this firm should be producing. And by doing so, you can also see that this particular firm also has AR greater than its AC, demonstrated by this line here. And this tells us that this firm is actually in a position where it's making supernormal profits. So if you multiply this amount here by the quantity that is sold in this region here, this would demonstrate the supernormal profit. Now, of course, in a perfectly competitive market, firms do not continue to make supernormal profit in the long run. And that is because of the barriers of entry, which I mentioned earlier on. Because there simply is no barriers of entry or exit within the perfectly competitive market, other firms can sniff all of the supernormal profit that this firm is making, and then they too enter the market, which of course leads to more supply and the supply curve shifting to the right here. This leads to price being reduced and thereby a reduction of the firm's revenue, which in turn leads it back to normal profits. So just a quick distinction here, supernormal profit or abnormal profit, as some textbooks refer to, is this excess amount of profit a firm makes above its minimum costs. Normal profit is the minimum level of profit which is necessary to sustain the cost of the business.
Well, I hope that this has helped you grasp the concepts of the perfect competition market structure. The next upcoming video will focus on the efficiencies of the perfect market structure, so you can look out for that one. Also guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel for upcoming content like this. On that note, my name is Amin and I will catch up with you another time.
Look what you've done.